Welcome everybody back. This is the SIDC fourth wave pre-launch event, and this is the afternoon session. So we will start with Thomas Shemko from OKTE. So Thomas, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Today I have the honor to be the first speaker in the afternoon session, so I hope you have used break to refill your energy to catch more information easily. Introduce myself, my name is Tomáš Semko, and I'm working as a market administrator at OKTE. My role here is to give some more relevant information, mainly for Slovak market parties. Please, the next slide. Great, thank you. As you can see on the slide, Xbit offers 4 types of orders: regular, predefined, regular user-defined block, iceberg, and basket order, with the similar execution and valid restriction to traders. As you can see, the iceberg products will not be supported in the local trading system. With the basket orders, from the Xbit point of view, will not be used, but the traders and market participants are able to place the basket order. But in our solution, we'll split the orders from the basket and send each orders to Xbit one by one. So that's why is market orders marked as not applicable for Slovakia market area. Okay, next slide, please. Well, joining the SIDC is a comprehensive extension of the OKTE local training system. Parties do not need to create some additional access. The design of the current LTS will be unchanged. That means that the user can expect very familiar environment user interface. Also, we collected many feedbacks from our market participants, so the minor improvement is based from their output. What is really important to Slovak market parties is that we, with connection to SIDC, OKTE, expand the product scale and add 15-minute products to the offer. So going live with SIDC, OKTE will support 15-minute products, 60-minute products, and also block orders. But there's a little change to block orders. Actually, traders and market parties can define a base load, peak load, and off-peak. But coming with SIDC, the traders have to define a block of minimum 2 hours. And also 16 and 15-minute orders will be running continuously. So the trading screen will be separated into a 60-minute part and 15-minute part, as you can see on the screen. Next slide, please. Well, that's the last slide from me. It will be possible to see depth of the market, so the market parties are able to see every volume of every order in every price range. Also, on the trading screen will be available hub-to-hub metrics, so the traders are able to see available cross-border capacities. Although we have to try we have to manage to a few changes as possible from the user point of view, and it's necessary to make an important changes. The first one, we have to change our Octet operating rules, where there will be new rules regarding intraday trading. Also, technical specification and the publication of the results on our website will be changed too. We will inform you about the changes on our website. From my advice to Slovak parties is to keep eye on our website so you don't miss any important relevant information. At the end of my short speech, I would like to bring to your attention an email where you can send your questions and queries. Well, that's all for me, so I'd like to leave the floor to Andreas from Phoenix.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. Also open the camera. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Thomas. Thank you all for being here. My name is Andreas Domaris, and I'm working in the Market Support Department of the Hellenic Energy Exchange. We are very happy to organize this event together with our colleagues from the SIDC project. And having already discussed about the functioning of the SIDC, its different modules, the market areas, the borders, the available products and order types, and so on. Now we will focus a bit more on some local aspects relevant to the Greek market area. So before we start, some key elements of the intraday market in Greece. Currently, we are operating the complementary regional intraday auctions, which are auctions with marginal pricing sold using the Euphemia algorithm. Their scope is regional, meaning that the allocation of the capacity is performed between the Italian bidding zones, between Italy and Slovenia, and between Italy and Greece. The market time step is hourly. The frequency of executions is 3 auctions per day, and the participation is asset-based, which is an inherent characteristic of the Greek market in general. Now with XBIT on the right, continuous trading will be an alternative way to trade, and most importantly, on a wider European level through our interconnections with Italy and Bulgaria. And trading, this is another important thing, another change. Trading will be very close to real time, up to 1 hour ahead of actual delivery. And as Jan described previously, in Greece, we will start with 60-minute products and user-defined blocks. Now, these two models will coexist in the intraday time frame. So XBIT comes to supplement and build up on the current solution on Krydas, and thus it expands our offering in the intraday time frame. So in the next slide, the cross-border capacity allocation will switch from the picture on the in the left, where we have only 3 implicit auctions with Italy, to the picture on the right, where except from Krydas, we will also have implicit continuous trading through our borders with Italy and Bulgaria. Next slide. Now the next slide is not quite relevant to XBIT. It shows the gate opening and closing times for the day-ahead market and the 3 Krydas that we solve. Just keep in mind these closing times of the Krydas, 3 o'clock p.m. for Kryda 1, 10 o'clock p.m. for Kryda 2, and 10 o'clock a.m. for Kryda 3, because we will need them later on to discuss how we handle XBIT during the execution of the Krydas, which is performed after these gate closing times. So in the next slide. Okay, this is a slide I stole from Vladimir. Sorry, Vladimir, for that. Just wanted to clarify what is applicable for the Greek market area, because each market area can have its individual configuration in terms of the time. I mean, when a contract becomes available for trading and so on. So indeed, each contract of the next day of day D is made available for trading on the previous day on D-1 at 13 o'clock CT, indicated here in the picture with this red vertical arrow on the left. But it is made available, it is first made available only for local trading between participants of the Greek market area. And later on at 3 o'clock p.m. CT, when we have the intraday cross-zonal gate opening time, it is also made available for cross-border matching until its expiration 1 hour ahead of actual delivery. Now, moving to the next slide. Okay, as we said, Krydas and XBIT will work in parallel, and this will require a special handling from our part during the Krydas solution calculation process. So we will perform two actions in order to ensure the efficient and seamless operation or better cooperation of these two models. So first, we will halt XBIT for the Greek market area for a 30 minutes period, starting from its CRIDAS gate opening time. So during this period, we will not permit any order insertion or editing or deletion in XBIT, and all already existing orders in the order book will be automatically hibernated by the local trading system itself. They can only be activated again by the participants themselves once this 30 minutes period passes. The reason for this halting is in order to avoid any asset over-allocation and defeasible market schedule due to the parallel operation of XBIT and CRIDAS in the CRIDAS calculation process. This is also illustrated on the picture in the right. So take, for example, for CRIDA 2, this XBIT halting is performed between 22 and 22:30, this 30 minutes period. Now, secondly, we will also interrupt the cross-border allocation in the interconnection with Italy, which participates in CRIDAS for a 50 minutes period in total, covering 20 minutes before the CRIDA gate closing time and 30 minutes after the closing of it. The reason for this interruption is to avoid any double allocation of the same cross-zonal capacities on the interconnection with Italy during the results calculation of the CRIDAS. Again, this is also illustrated in the picture. Take again, for example, CRIDA 2. So between 21:40 and 22:30, this 50 minutes period, we will interrupt cross-border matching in the border with Italy. This is why it is only indicated on the bar on the left, which refers to our interconnection with Italy. Now, in the next slide. Having said that, all in all, this information is graphically illustrated here in a nutshell. As we said, we will start the trading of all contracts of the next day at 13 o'clock CET, first in local mode, so between participants of the Greek market area. Then at 15 o'clock, we have the intraday cross-zonal gate opening time, but cross-border trading can only take place after 15:30 for the reasons that we described previously, when we will have the final results publication of CRIDA 1. Then at 21:40, we will perform this halting, this interruption of cross-border matching through the Italian border. And then at 22 o'clock, we'll halt XBIT for the Greek market area. So non-participant can place new orders or edit existing orders for a 30 minutes period. This will be done up until 22:30, when the whole process will be resumed again. The same also stands for CRIDA 3 in the last part of this timeline. The next slide. Now, as we said in the beginning, the participation is asset-based. So we have selected to perform some validation checks upon submission of an order in order to reduce the possibility of attaining infeasible market schedules. So moving to the next slide. The first validation rule is quite simple. It applies to non-dispatchable assets and also to dispatchable assets that are not committed in ISP, in the integrated scheduling process that the TSO ADMIE performs in order to decide on the commitment status of its generating asset, and also to optimally allocate the reserves among the different assets. So take, for example, that an asset has attained a market schedule so far from the previous market segments, so from trades in the day-ahead market, in the CRIDAS, and also in XBIT, from previous trades in XBIT. And thus, this has attained this market schedule indicated in the picture. So for a sell order, we are moving upwards, and the quantity is limited to the available capacity minus the market schedule. Similarly, for a buy order, we are moving downwards, so the quantity is limited actually to the market schedule itself. In the next slide, the second validation rule is a bit more complicated because it applies to dispatchable assets that are committed in ISP. So suppose again that we have attained a market schedule for a specific asset, then for a sell order, we are moving upwards, and the quantity of this sell order is limited to the available capacity minus the market schedule minus the upward reserve that was awarded in the ISP. Similarly, for a buy order, the quantity is limited to the market schedule minus the technical minimum of the unit minus the downward reserve that was awarded for that unit. And note that if an AFRR upward or an AFRR downward reserve was awarded, then instead of the available capacity and the technical minimum, we consider the technical maximum under automatic generation control under AGC or the technical minimum under AGC for the sell and the buy orders respectively. So in the next slide, these validation checks that we perform are done only for new orders, for new upcoming orders that are entering into the local trading system. But we also perform some other revalidation checks for already submitted orders. For example, in case of a decrease of the available capacity of a generating asset, or a change in the commitment status, or a change in the allocated reserves in ISP, then if these changes violate the technical validation rules that we saw previously, then all relevant XBIT orders for that specific generating asset are cancelled. A similar case stands also for the case of a decrease in the available credit limit. So in that case, again, all XBIT orders that were submitted through this specific clearing sub-account are cancelled, and the user, the participant, has to resubmit the orders that he wants up until the newly updated available credit limit. And one final remark, trades are final and irrevocable, so we do not support trade recall in the same way as we also do for the day-ahead market and the CRIDAS. So this is from my part for this presentation. Let me check in the chat if we have any questions. I don't see anything so far. So let me continue with the next presentation. On the next slide, the previous one, sorry. Next. Okay. The next subject is the members' trial period, which is planned to take place around the middle of October, and which follows a long period of testing within the SIDC working groups and an even longer period of preparations by the Greek and Slovak regulators, NIMOs and TSOs. This presentation was intended to be presented by my colleague Efterepi Labaditou, who is head of the Markets Operation Department in HENEX. Unfortunately, Efterepi will not be able to present us today. Something unexpected occurred. She's fine, but I will try to speak on behalf of her. So in the next slide, during the market trial period, market participants will have the opportunity to connect to the SIDC system via their NIMOS local trading systems, as Vladimir previously explained with the paradigm of the cockpit and the engine of the car. The market trial period is locally organized, so all communication regarding the connectivity details, the support, and so on will be organized by the relevant NIMOs and the TSOs. This test is mainly for Greek and Slovak market participants who are not familiar yet with the XBIT system and the associated normal and fallback procedures of the SIDC. But of course, participants from other markets are welcome to join to increase liquidity and make the testing a bit more interesting and closer to the production case. So we have configured the products, their scheduling, the cross-border capacities, their availability times, the coupling perimeter as they will be in the production case. And during the market trial, HENEX will also perform, will also execute the day-ahead market and the complementary regional intraday auctions, the CRIDAs that we saw previously, to give the opportunity to its market participants to become more familiar to the interactions between these market segments, for example, in terms of the closing and opening times, the hibernation of the orders during the halting of XBIT for CRIDAs that we saw previously. And also, in order to be ready for the market trial period, we are aiming also to start with local testing some days before the trial period, and also we'll continue with the local testing after the end of the trial period, at least for the Greek participants. In the next slide. Okay, the general goal of the market trial period is that Slovak and Greek parties have the opportunity to test new functionalities in the LTS for continuous trading, as well as to get familiar to the processes that have to be followed during normal or contingency operation at local or European level. Also, Greek parties will have the chance to test the interactions between the spot and the ancillary services market, the ICP that we saw previously, and the introduction of a new set of validation rules for awarded ancillary services by the TSO that we also described previously. HENEX is in close collaboration with the TSO, with ADMIE, for the organization of this testing. Also note that post-coupling activities, like for example, nominations by the participants, are out of the scope of this specific test. Now moving to the period of execution. The execution interval of the test, no, in the previous one. Yeah, the execution interval of the test is the week between 17th of October and 21 of October, plus 1 extra week for contingency testing in case we want to retest a specific scenario. But the goal is to focus and try to perform successful and complete testing during the very first week, as we have concluded that 1 week is better in order to gather the liquidity and produce more interesting results. In the next slide, the IT system, systems both at local and the core SIDC system will be available 24 hours for the 5 days of the testing, and also operational and technical consultation and support will be available between working hours 9 to 5 p.m. CET. And as we said, implicit market participants will refer to their relevant NIMOs and TSOs in case a problem occurs and so on. During the market trial, participants will receive operational messages as we will do later on in the production, so as to inform them for actions conducted by the NIMOs or the TSOs, like, for example, halting of a delivery area or closing of a border and so on. Greek market participants have seen something similar during the SDAC training sessions for the day-ahead market. Now in the next slide, the indicative schedule of the trial period is listed here. All days cover mainly normal operations plus an incident that may occur, for example, XBIT unavailability or loss of LTS connection to the SIDC that may result to halting in trading of a specific delivery area, or a technical issue related to the processing of the allocation information in the TSO's post-coupling system that may result to closing of some borders and so on. It is, it is 24 hours trading, so statistically incidents may occur, but we have to be prepared for that. Now, as already mentioned, HENEX and the TSO, ADMIE, are aiming to execute the whole sequence of the day-ahead and the intraday markets. And moving to the next slide. And in order to simulate better reality, we will use production times, except for the case of CRIDA 2, which will be moved from 10 p.m. to 4:30 CT, so as to make the test a bit more efficient and easy to follow. In the next slide. Okay, we are getting prepared to go live on the 29th of November for the delivery day of 13th of November. Although formal confirmation for technical readiness and the exact date of the go live will be announced around the 18th of November, if I remember correct. Of course, the main goal is to give market participants sufficient time for testing their systems, their connection to the LTS, and also to get familiar to the XBIT matching engine. So for that reason, local testing, as we said previously, will continue also after the market trial period, at least for the Greek market participants. Of course, during the whole process, we will be there with you. I will support you during all this procedure in order to make sure that all parties will be ready for this long-awaited go live, which is expected to give Slovak and Greek market participants new opportunities for more dynamic trading. So thank you very much. Thank you all for your attention. And also a big thank to our regulator, to RAE, and also to the TSO, ADMIE, for the close collaboration and support throughout this journey. Thank you, and I will be happy to answer any questions if there are any in the chat. I don't see anything yet.
Yes, there's no question. So.
Okay, so I think I'll move to the next presentation of Radek.
Yes, thank you very much. So we are very well ahead of the schedule, and we dedicated to the time for your questions. So please feel free to raise your question in the chat, or not only related to future plans for SIDC, but also for the other topics and for the speakers. We are still there for you. So please feel free to raise your questions. But until now, I see that everything was clear enough, because there are no questions. So it's also good. So okay, let me continue with the next part of the pre-launch event. In the next part, I would like to introduce to you the future plans for the SIDC. So Kata, if can we move to the next slide? Because it took a long time to get where we are today, and then Andreas spoke about it in the morning, where also the major milestones were shown. But SIDC parties remain focused on the improvements of SIDC system and also future development and R&D of SIDC, which is of course priority for all SIDC parties, all TSOs and all NIMOs involved in the project. So here on the slide, I have listed some future plans of SIDC divided into 3 areas, 3 sections. The first one, geographical extensions. Of course, we speak all day today about it. So with the first, second, and third go live, we achieved major milestones, and forthcoming fourth wave go live will be also very important step to complete single European intraday market. However, there are still some parties or also countries which may to be integrated to the SIDC in the future. For example, I'm sure that also Balkan countries, for example, will join once they are ready for it. So therefore, SIDC will be still focused, meaning also after fourth go live wave on the geographical extension, and yeah, that's for sure. Second area you can see in the pink in the middle of the slide is about the research and development of new functionalities to be implemented. Plans are underway to integrate capacity pricing via intraday auctions to fulfill also current regulatory requirements. And SIDC is working on the further extension of products. As already mentioned in the morning, currently we have our products everywhere today, but also 15 minutes products will be important in the future, will play a key role, and will be implemented across Europe once. And also SIDC has initiated some R&D phase for the implementation of flow-based and also for functionality to address losses on HVDC cables. Third area is about the goal to have stable, robust, and effective operation of the XBIT system. If you remember the numbers from the morning about performance, it is clear that we need to implement some performance optimization measures, and the implementation of first part is already ongoing and will finish this year. And of course, we will continue with some improvements of system performance during IDA implementation as it is needed. So I would like to address some of these topics in more detail. So in the next slide, I will cover intraday auctions. Here, the main SIDC goal is to implement 3 intraday auctions at 3 o'clock, one day before delivery day, 10 o'clock in the afternoon, and then 10 o'clock in the morning at delivery day for remaining hours of this delivery day. It is also important to point out that during this time, the continuous trading will be stopped for necessary time, and we aim to go live and launch intraday auctions in Q1 2023, 2024. I'm sorry for that. And it's our priority number one, so implementation of IDA. So regarding the current status, you can see on the slide as well, the design of IDA solution is finalized. It was agreed that they had algorithm from SDAC will be used to run IDAs. And also the new module IDA CAP central interface point will be developed to be interface between XBIT and NEMOS. So to summarize it, the development phase is ongoing on all layers. And also performance test, you can see the status in the slide as well. Performance tests in XBIT and in Euphemia are completed, and then currently we have a discussion about products for IDA go live. It was foreseen that all parties, all TSOs and all NEMOS will go live together in Q1 2024 via, let's say, big bang approach. Unfortunately, as it is always risk in this kind of huge projects, already now it's clear that this will be not the case, as not all parties will be ready for IDA go live big bang approach. Therefore, we are internally assessing whether we can launch IDAS without one or two, without some parties. We will join, of course, later, but mainly with the priority to keep go live as scheduled, and as you can see on the slide. So in the next slide, I have included one topic. It's about cross-product matching, CPM. Here, I would like to update you on this shortly as well, because today this is not the functionality to be implemented in the near future, so we do not foresee to implement it. And regarding the history of the development, or what is behind, is that cross-product matching is a very complex functionality, and it was decided to split the implementation to the two phases. First, it was a minimum viable product, as you can see in the first bullet point, and for this part we finished this part of the implementation, and we recorded significant impact of this functionality on the performance of the system. So also the price for this functionality was high, and following these reasons, and also taking into account status of the 15 minutes implementation, we did a priority assessment, and also based on advice from regulatory environment, meaning from ACER and NRA's SIDC parties, decided to put the cross-product matching implementation on hold for time being. So regarding last technical part on the next slide, you can see the performance optimization measures as mentioned several times. So these are part of the current some performance optimization measures are already part of the current release, and it will bring significant improvements of the system boundaries, as discussed in the morning. And in the middle of this slide, you can see the thresholds, which will be extended to the 10 million of order transactions per day. And today we have 2 million. And also we will extend these boundaries to 600,000 of trades per day, where we have 200,000 today. Of course, other round of the performance optimization measures, as I already stated, will be run as part of the next release, which is focused purely on IDA implementation. So on the next slide, you can see overall picture of our roadmap for this and then next year, where you can see the activities in front of us. And in the first line, you can see, of course, the current status and planning for fourth go live wave. And in the second line, there is visibility for you about ongoing release, as I stated, which is focused on the performance. But being focused more on the future, in the middle you can see the planning for IDA. Here I would like to point out how much resource demanding the testing is. On this slide, you can see that our testing resources are focused on the release 3.3 testing, but almost in parallel they are working on the preparation of the next release. And for the next release, for the release 4.0, which is focused on the IDA only, you can see in the roadmap that development followed by central exhibit testing will be done in parallel with the local system development and testing, which is very demanding on the coordination and also on the resources. So on this slide, you can see also the let's say our main activities for the testing, and before IDA go live, everything needs to be tested properly. On the slide, you can see testing activities also in pink, as they are critical on the critical path of our roadmap. So it was something about a roadmap. Last slide from my side is about new governance. This I would like to mention as well, because in the past, NIMOS and TSO stated in several forums that they are dedicated to continuing with implementation of any improvements regarding governance of market coupling via this joint governance body for intraday and for day ahead, for SDAG and SIDC, which is Market Coupling Steering Committee. And I'm very happy to inform you that the new governance structure for intraday and for day ahead for SIDC and SDAC is already in place from the beginning of this year. So it already shows the benefits of the SIDC and SDAC merger, while TSOs and NIMOS are able to manage the market coupling projects in a more effective way. And of course, as NIMOS and TSOs are key to the successful running of the market coupling. As part of the governance changes, we also created the market coupling consultative group with stakeholders, as their positions on several topics remains very important for TSOs and NIMOS and for SIDC projects. So I think it will be held twice per year. Market participants will have an opportunity to attend this consultative group and then to discuss with us our future plans for development and also the current status. Last but not least, also I want to mention that we already implemented qualified majority voting process on the decision level, which will hopefully also improve the efficiency of the steering of the project and bring added value to the project. And of course, we are still continuous working on the other improvements on the governance to secure effective day-to-day management of a market coupling steering committee or project under this organization, meaning intraday and the SIDC and SDAC. So this one slide was very last one from my side. So I would like to also thank you for your attention. And I see no questions in the chat, but I think that still there is space, there is room for your questions. So please feel free to raise your question related to any agenda point on the we have today.
Thank you, Radek. And I think these were the concluding remarks also. So as you can see on the screen now, there is 2 email address for your questions. So if you have any, just please write it there. Also, if you follow the ANSOE and the NIMO committee website, you will find some details about SDAC and SIDC, and the recording of today and the presentation will be available on both websites under the SIDC page in the next day. So just check it there. And as already Radek mentioned, there will be a market consultative group meeting probably in the 1st of December, and you can join there too. So if you have any question, you can ask it there. And in the meantime, if you have any question, you can both write those in these 2 emails or maybe on the secretariat at nimocommittee.com. It's also working. So if there is no other questions, well, actually there were any questions, then we thank you for your participation today. I hope you learned a lot from the presentations. And then, Vladimir, hello, maybe you have some closing remarks.
No, I just haven't had the opportunity in the morning to present myself, so just maybe somebody or somewhere. So did you recognize who was talking to you in the morning? That's that.
Yeah, that's nice. Thank you. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Then that's the end of the webinar. So goodbye to all. Thank you.
Thank you, and have a nice day.
Thank you and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.